They just die in the beginning of the fight, and then their cores are getting kited like crazy. Like, the gyrocopter was doing a lot of damage, so was the Dragon Knight, but once the BKB timers were up, EG just consistently kited them. They had so many disables to sort of just cycle through non-stop. The hexes, the stuns, and the Yule Scepters, and the Graves just allowed this fight to go for so long.
It's the last three. It's the trio. They have to win this one. EG, it's 5-manning though. They've already been winning so many fights. There goes the ultimate, blowing up Gardner. They also get XC towards the tail end, and GG. Shiki survives through it all, but it's still lost for C-Deck. Evil Geniuses take the series 2-0.
AUI in that entire fight just threw down stasis traps left and right. You just throw remote mine, remote mine, remote mine.
Yep.
Beyond godlike for him, as he only dies as once independent of a kill, almost always suicides, and the net worth advantage that their supports had were what really made the difference in this last fight.
So C-Deck, as much as they showed a lot of promise in this group stage and will be a monster going into the main event, still though, Evil Geniuses will be the victors here, 2-0. See what our analysts have to say about this series and EG as a whole.
All right, C-Deck eventually, I guess, yeah, you could say getting shut down by EG here near the end of the group stage. Of course, C-Deck still has a match left, but that does secure EG top 2 spot, it sounds like, in Group B, and they should be pretty happy about that because suddenly it was starting to look like, oh, wait, we weren't clear of this. We could have various tiebreaker situations where the matchups are going to matter. EG wanted to play it safe. They secured the game, and playing 2 Techies games in a row also, that was a little bit surprising. Synderen, how did you view Game 2?
I think, so once again, the Techies, once EG get a good grip on the game, it seems like C-Deck have difficulty playing against it. I still feel like they do a good job. Like, it's very clear when you watch this game, or both these games, why C-Deck are placed high in this group. Like, they are playing really solid Dota, and I think a big part of what separates these teams from the others is, first of all, they obviously get drafts they're comfortable with every time. I don't think in this series there was no bad draft, and their execution in the team fights, how they move for each other, make space, and just generally approach engaging without overcommitting it's very clear that they have a good assessment of how to go in. And for one team, you've got the Dragon Knight, who's very tanky. For the other team, you have the Shadow Fiend. And then all of the play happens around those 2 heroes, of course, with Gyrocopter being secondary carry for the Dire. But all in all, just really quality Dota. I'm not sure what to say. I think Blitz with his final comment had a really good point. At the end of the day, it comes down to the net worth difference between the supports, because all the cores were really farmed, but EG just ended up getting more out of the map with their Techies.
Yeah, Dakota, what about you? I mean, especially with the few changes that we've seen from Game 1 into Game 2 from both teams.
Even though there was some changes done on the side of C-Deck, and I agree, they still put together a good draft. These are comfort heroes for them. Their cores still farm up. Yeah. They look sharp. They get their BKBs. But again, EG seemed to find a way to exploit that. I believe Blitz said it as well. They were able to kite them easily, force out those BKBs, and then pounce right back onto them. And this is all happening at the back end of the game where they're trying to just get out from their baseline, but Aui's there, building up a foundation of ridiculous techie mines and stasis traps, and that is almost infuriating, I'm sure, to C-Deck. And we saw even when they were making the draft, maybe we're put off a bit. They still seem a bit, kind of discombobulated about what actually just happened there in that series.
Yeah, I mean, it looked like they were saying, all right, well, if they end up picking it, at least we took the Tusk. So we shouldn't be too worried. Synderen, you gave them credit for handling it well the game before, so it looked like they wanted to try it again. Winter, how do you view that? Do you think in the future this is going to be something that other teams can exploit against C-Deck?
I think what I got from the game is like 2 things. C-Deck, they got exploited by EG, the fact that they had Disruptor in the safe lane, which was, I think, something that they probably didn't expect EG to do. They expected the offlane sanking, but they didn't expect the Dazzle plus sanking combination, the pressure, the Gyro. The Gyro had, I would say, low farm from the laning phase because of that. He was under severe pressure because his laning support couldn't help him deal with the Dazzle too much, and Sanking was able to use Caustic to great effect in the lanes. And the other thing I took away from the game is how EG prioritizes the Techies, because they have to win this series 2-0, and they pick Techies in both their games. So for me, it's something that I actually took away, that they actually think that this hero might be a top pick for them, since they pick it when they need to win both their games.
Oh, that's true. Yeah, didn't think of it from that angle, but very true. Let's take a look at one of the highlights towards the very end of the game to see basically, what we talked about culminating back in game.
Like, 6 seconds on.
So this was EG
One hero,
trying to push
5
down in the
seconds
top
on
side.
Dragon Knight.
Just trying to finish the game here.
And you see how tanky Dragonite is in this situation. Yeah, he just took everything.
There are some heals, and Shiki's still tanking enough to survive through all
They were
Then
just
they
too,
just
they were just
claw them
too
out from
far.
the base.
Yeah, I think they were just too far behind
Yeah.
because you can't just leave your base against the techies. Like you don't know what you're gonna run into behind, so it's kind of difficult for them to chase out. And it creates a lot of situations for the Sand King to just wait behind to come in with the perfect timing with his ultimate. So that was a really good play from EG in general as a team. Like
And the
position.
combination of having Shallow Grave together with a Carrow with Satanic is very powerful, because you just wait until the Shallow Grave is about to run out, and you pop your Satanic and you heal up maybe, like, I think in that situation Sumail healed a good, like, 700 or something with a couple of Satanic attacks, and makes a very big difference. He does end up falling, but they have multiple buybacks, and this is incredible. Of course, the stasis trap here is... It doesn't look like much, because nobody dies. There's, like, you just see them getting stunned, but no
Right.
damage is really dealt. But it still gives them time to get into a better position for EG and secure the fight.
They can't do anything with techies. I mean, now I'm watching him this whole fight. He has completely full life, and he just gets to go through all of his mana pool, just dishing out what looks like 2 to 3 stasis traps, multiple remote mines, throwing them in with that Aghanim Scepter from afar, and dishing huge bursts of magic damage, and there's nothing they can do to stop him. He's just able to sit in the back line and get so much work. And now you see him in mid lane, adding pressure there.
Yeah, he was
What a
just-
hero.
Yeah, yeah, he was just cutting back and forth throughout that fight, just making sure he did everything he could, both utility and damage for his team. So, Winter bringing up a good point. I mean, maybe the techies is something that they'll fall back on when they really need it. Or it was also just something they were saving for, like, whenever we need to clinch it, we'll use it once, we'll burn it, like we've talked about before, and then moving on to the group stage. So, let's take a look at the standings if we can, and run through the scenarios here a little bit, because it's still not all settled. Dust is still there for Group B. Not everything is resolved. The only thing we know is that EG secures a spot in the top 2,
Yes.
right? So we'll bring up the standings right now, as you guys can see on your screens.
Yes, so there are quite a few things that can happen right now. So CDEC have 1 match remaining, which is against eHome, and that's really important. So eHome are currently playing against VP, and eHome are up 1-0. Should they win that 2-0, they end up on 10 points, and then they're playing CDEC.
Right.
Should they win that one as well, they tie with EG for first with 13.
Right.
And they will actually win the heads-up, because they drew against each other. They both 2-0'd CDEC, but then eHome actually beat VP 2-0, whereas EG drew with them.
Right.
So in that scenario, eHome can actually win the group stage here.
Oh, wow.
And get first place, which would knock CDEC down to 3rd.
Okay.
It's unlikely, because those things need to happen, but if eHome have a strong showing against CDEC, that can happen. Alternative scenarios, let's say CDEC and eHome draw. CDEC and EG both have 13, then EG wins on heads-up. They just 2-0'd them.
Right.
And finally, if Virtus Pro get the draw against eHome, they have 10, eHome have 8, and then eHome with a 2-0 can get 11, which would give them 3rd and VP 4th.
Okay.
And as it looks right now, Vici could still stay top 4 as well. No, never mind.
they?
No,
No, they
eHome
can't.
won again.
So, yeah,
eHome Vici are low
So the
bracket.
top 4 are now set.
Yes,
It sounds
it's
like,
about
yeah.
how
So
they
it
place.
is going to be
Yes,
eHome, VP, CDEC, and EG. It's just how do they shuffle amongst that? And the fact that, I mean, eHome, until this match is over and it gets recorded against VP, they're at 5th, but they still have the potential to go all the way to 1st in Group B over EG. That's pretty crazy. It sounds like, Empire also has a match left. Empire also has 6 points, so they can actually tie VP
And
if they
Empire's-
3-0 Hot 6.
Empire's last game was, it's against Hot 6, so if they could get up to 9 points.
And they can tie VP if VP is 4th, and that was the one match until now that Empire won against VP. So they could actually knock VP out. So the top 4 is not set.
That is correct.
It's just Vici being knocked down has been set, unfortunately. So, but then it's 4th place. So
Yeah.
Empire and VP,
In 4th
it
place,
would
there will
just
be
be
a
a tiebreaker
tiebreaker.
because, again, that is upper and lower bracket. Lots of scenarios, but just to clarify again, it's not all set. All we know for sure is EG definitely in the top 2. CDEC has to wait and see. VP is possibly in danger of having to play a tiebreaker against Empire for that 4th seed. Vici does get knocked down into the lower bracket, and eHome could make a run all the way to the 1st seed. And this all hinges on what? 3 matches.
Yeah.
2.5. One still going on right now on Stream 2 for eHome versus VP. That is pretty crazy.
Yeah, and this match is actually pretty close right now, so eHome have managed to pull ahead, but it's been a little bit back and forth and pretty close. And eHome are sitting with about a 7,000 gold lead right now, but it is a very even game, so anything could really happen.
Well, we do have to wait until this match is over anyway to see that CDEC versus eHome match. So right now, ladies and gentlemen, we will all jump over to eHome versus VP. It is game 2. eHome is leading 1-0, and we're waiting to find out, can eHome pull out to 2-0 and keep that dream alive of going first in Group B?
Will just barely live unless they can chase him down.
Yeah, he's going to be fine.
Okay.
All right, welcome mainstream.
Hello,
this is
hello.
a seriously important game if you guys haven't been paying attention. Both of these teams are fighting for their top 4 spot in Group B. And it's a close one.
eHome looked very strong in game number 1. And here in game 2, VP fighting for the top 4. This is what it all comes down to, Purge. It's been a very close game so far. eHome just recently pulling far ahead. Ice Blast will connect on the Roche pit, but VP just can't contest this. Ravage is down. Sonic Wave is down. This will be a Roche going the way of eHome. So, yeah, very even mid-game. Pretty quiet farming until the recent bout of team fighting. Pipe on the way. We'll take a look at the items here just so y'all can get acquainted with the current state of this match.
Now, if you missed the last fight, what basically happened was CTY came from far behind in the team fight, and VP was looking for the other main group. If they would have been able to spot CTY first, they could have just completely blown him up to start things off. Phobos getting spotted in the jungle, actually, this is pretty dangerous because the rest of the heroes are semi in the area. He's just going to TP home.
Can't get there in time.
It's such short range now.
Yeah.
It's very difficult to get in range.
CTY fishing as well in the mid lane. He's the one carrying the Aegis now, so not afraid to be a little bit aggressive if an opportunity arises.
He's got so much farm. 4K gold plus his Aghanims.
Wow.
So he just solo killed the Rubik very, very easily earlier. But the problem is that both teams have been playing super safe 5-man the whole game because neither of them wants to lose this one. And because of that, Lil has much less items than he normally does.
Yeah, look at this Rubik. He's got Urn, Arcane Boots, and still no progression towards that Blink Dagger. Very unfortunate for him. The Ancient Apparition in a similar state right now. They're at the bottom of the pack for net worth by a pretty big margin. They've been holding steady, whereas for eHome, both of their supports have been on the up and up. A lot of that coming from the track gold.
Yeah, I'm sure that makes a big difference there. VP going to try to take at least tier 1 tower here before they back off and go for the Rax defend. They don't have Ravage yet. 16 seconds cooldown on that one, and eHome's happy to go high ground.
All right, there is no glyph either on cooldown for another 20 seconds.
He's going to get
in
solo
big
killed.
trouble. Can they finish him off? They can. He does have a buyback here.
It's Soul Laguna, though.
Uh-oh.
950 magic damage. That's going to be a huge thing to have in the next team fight, but
they may realize it was stolen as well. We'll see if they adjust their playstyle here. They'll mech up. They go right back onto the tower. Glyph up in about 5 seconds. Illidan may need to burn the buyback here. Ravage is also cooled down. Refresher picked up by Lena.
Great pickup.
Oh, boy, this is scary. She doesn't have the mana pool to use it quite yet now. Oh, it's way back at the base. Never mind. They won't need it for this siege. Tower's gone down. They've got the Glyph now. VP can still make a hold here, but do they sack the barracks and not use the buyback? Ravage completely whiffed from Phobos. Oh, no. It's a disaster from Virtus Pro. Now comes the BKB for Yang. Sonic Wave from Quap.
Oh, man, they just shredded.
This is scary. CTY goes down, but comes right back to life. This should be at least a lane of barracks for eHome. That was not the time to whiff the Ravage. Oh,
he pressed it before he blinked. I looked down, and I don't think there was a damage source that hit him or anything.
No.
Because it was Bounty Hunter kind of close to him, but he has no way to do damage from that far away.
We saw it from Ohio earlier, just not shift queuing properly on his Earthshaker. It's very similar style. It just happens occasionally. But
it's such a small thing because if he hesitates a little bit after he blinks, then they have a much better chance of getting their BKBs off. They did still kill the Aegis on Lena, but you just can't make that mistake. It's such a big mistake when you're defending.
Okay. So, anything else here progression-wise? Phobos, I guess worth mentioning here to all the new